Hello and welcome into another Event Perspectives episode. Another one I'm thrilled about, joined by Dahlia El Gazzar, who is the tech evangelist and idea igniter. I was afraid of getting that out correctly, Dahlia,
Yep.
at Dahlia+Agency. I know we're going to talk a whole bunch of things, but Dahlia, are you ready for this conversation?
I am so ready. I'm born ready, but I've been ready to be on camera with you, Rodney. Like you've
Listen,
interviewed all these cool people, and then now I'm standing in line for it. So here I am.
Listen, the coolest one is joining today, and also a fellow Massachusetts resident. I mean, we should have figured out a place locally to do
No,
this, you know.
I mean a
But
Panera or something.
yeah, yeah, just before we get kicked out, I'm sure we're gonna have a ton of fun. I know one of the ideas that I'm most excited about, but we won't jump into it yet, is this notion of decision calories. I know that was something that you've kind of borrowed, and we'll hit on that. But what it also means for people's playbooks and what they should be thinking about when it comes to their events. So I can't wait to dive into that. But I try and start out with something a little bit more fun to get the conversation going, though I
Let's go.
don't think you need it. Um, if you had an unlimited budget,
Ooh.
what is one thing you would add to your next event or client event?
So it would be like all the puppies in the whole entire world. But if I had an unlimited budget, to be very honest, I would take the event outside of a hotel or a venue. I would use a city as all different types of, as the floor plan. So like the storefronts as the breakout rooms, the parks as the gathering spaces, all the puppies in the whole entire world, all the Paneras and the coffee shops that you would want. Um, and no limit. Like I think that ultimately there will come a time where even if budget is an issue, events are going to have to be done in a very different way. So budget aside, I would not just limit it to, you know, general session rooms and hallways or corridors.
I I love that answer. I think we'll probably hit on some of this, and you know, there's conventions, and like, meaning I should say conventional wisdom type convention, that I think event organizers like me too, sometimes we gravitate towards them because they're how they're defined. But I
Right.
would say your answer there is already starting to get to you're probably not someone who's stuck on convention. Is that fair?
I'm not conventional. I am not like everybody's cup of, like, I don't know, Baileys and coffee.
Yeah, just
Not even tea. I'm not even like I'm not vanilla, and, some people like it. Our My mission here, um, and this is where you have a lineup of speakers, where you want people to think different,
Mhm.
is to literally have people step out of their comfort zone, or be able to, or empower them to be able to have those conversations with their leadership team, and then the naysayers that have been in an organization or doing something. We've done it all this way. Nothing's broken. Everything now is broken.
Mm. Okay. So we're gonna get. I want to unpack that a little bit, and the
Let's
way that I'm gonna start by unpacking it is by asking everyone. One of the things that we do on this show is talk about people's backgrounds, how they got into events. So there's what you can see on your LinkedIn. So I can see that you were at a couple different places that got acquired. But talk to us a little bit about how you got into events, and your interaction with events leading you to where you are today.
I lived in the Red Sea in South Sinai for 6 years. I am an accidental planner.
Mhm.
I was brought into Movenpick hotels to do guest relations and to spend money to make money. So I was wild on ATV tour guides in the middle of the desert, and name it, I did it. I was there to like create just joy and happiness for the tourists. Come to find out, like, the way I ended up doing events was someone's like, can you do an event on the first of the year because all our diving boats have to stop because people drink a lot. So I ended up negotiating with the Bedouins and doing a camel race, which still exists today.
Wow.
But if you can negotiate with Bedouins and put numbers on camels and get like 1,000 some people to go in the middle of the desert and just have a blast, I call that a successful event. So that's how I started.
And what, like, empowered you? Like,
I thought
where
you
did
were
that
gonna
co
say, "In what
what
hell of a planet? Wha
what possessed no. What I am gonna
Who the
ask is
hell gave you that?"
so you kinda got tasked with this idea of an event. Like, I'd love to just try and, like, give us an insight into your brain. Like, how did you see like, what did you yeah, I know, it might be a scary thing to ask, but
Nobody should.
what like, how did you envision that coming to life? Was it just like, "Hey, I'm going to" like, you're coming into it with maybe less rules or maybe less, formality in terms of how you came into
Absolutely.
it? Like
So, I had first and foremost, I had a leadership that trusted me 200%.
mhm,
Second, I had, it wasn't a plan. It wasn't an Excel sheet with 200 tabs color coded or anything like that. It truly was what's going to bring joy for different people. Those with families, those that are on their own, those that are just there that were pissed that they couldn't go diving because that was a big deal.
mhm,
And so I was able to just envision all these little corners, and that was the event. Like, it just came together. And you have a lot of event planners, they need to trust the process.
mhm,
So they try to control everything and the weather.
mhm.
And a lot of times that doesn't work, you know?
Yeah, yeah,
So I am one to trust the process and trust that things will just unfold. And if it doesn't, other things will just take on. So, and so it worked out really well. Yes, it was profitable. Yes, it was sponsored because some, companies were like, "Ooh, we want some of this," kind of thing, and it all worked out. And then it was given to someone who was able to run with it. But you need to trust the process, even if it's a process.
and, like, what was the so how did that take you? Was that something that then took you so I know you have, like, experience at Passkey, I know you have some experience at some other, kind of vendors that have been in the event space. I'm curious, how did those translate? Was that, like, something that happened and you locked in the back of your mind and said, "Hey, this event planning thing is pretty interesting."
Well, obviously, in the middle of the desert, you don't get a lot of tech, right? And fast forward, I moved from Egypt to the US. I got very intrigued about the technology that sort of powers the infrastructure of events,
Mhm,
of the hospitality and travel world, for example. And so I was lucky to work on different projects that led me to Passkey before Cvent days, and that led me to On Peak. But those platforms, it wasn't only about the technology that was really, really great. It was about how you were empowering all the different players to do better events, better experiences. The tech in it, and I know that, you are in tech,
yeah,
but it's mostly about, how do you empower people to think outside of the platform?
mhm.
In outside of the box, literally. And I lucked out. I lucked out that I was able to be with those. My main mission there was strategic partnerships, as well as just listening in on different, organizers and planners and other accidental planners on, like, what is keeping them up at night, and then the tech follows.
And as a question on tech, because like you said, I kind of came into the event space somewhat accidentally myself and ended up gravitating or really getting pushed towards tech because that kind of spoke to me. And I was on an events team full of event planners who, like their skill set was different than mine because I fell into it. And they were like, "You like tech, you like data. Great. Nobody on here, nobody else wants this. So Rodney, take it. You can, and so for me as a young
So
person in
you're a
event,
tech and data mixologist.
I listen. I'm gonna put that on my LinkedIn right after
I
this
think you
conversation's done.
should.
Yeah, it's
That's
um,
that's a skill right there.
Yeah, and, from that, before I was at Rainfo, because that was really what I did for about a decade, was responsible for kind of an increasing number of tech platforms, and I had, you know, phenomenal team members that were thinking about experiences and pulling people together. My brain, and I'm leading to a question, I promise.
I love
My
this.
brain my brain was all around, like, I am using this, like, I don't want the tech necessarily to be the star of the show, but an enabler of the actual show, right? Like
Absolutely.
that, that it is a really functional way. Like, hey, you have these great ideas, and if we can tie this all together in one unified tech experience, whether that's through making it bookable, pre-planning, allocation, like whatever it is that we're looking to do, and then ultimately for me to have kind of a sense of measuring it afterwards, because there's the measurement and the actual data, and then the anecdotal data. And as someone who's looked at both, I'm like, they don't always agree. Sometimes people love the idea and it's like 7 people did it, but they go, it was a phenomenal success. And then sometimes 1,000 people did it, but maybe it wasn't what people envisioned. So it wasn't. And, I was always kind of behind the scenes making sure that whatever we were implementing,
Mhm.
technology could facilitate that. I never thought like, hey, this is what somebody is coming to this event for. Now, fast forward to my role here at Rain Focus. Obviously, I'm running events where I do think they want to understand how we're doing things. But
Definitely.
long-winded, Dahlia, what's your thought on event tech? Like, what's the role, and in which ways is it succeeding, and which ways are we not succeeding? Event tech and its role in events.
So, I'm gonna start with what's not succeeding.
Mhm.
95% of our engagement with organizations, whether it's association, corporate, trade show organizers, when it comes to them trying to figure out their tech stack or figure out is the tech working or not, what's not working is we almost showcase tech with no emotion.
Mm.
And it is an emotional sell. It is an emotional buy-in. There
Mm.
is it is so it's almost like tech therapy. So we go in almost as therapists. Sometimes it's like marriage counseling because you have different departments, different players where they don't want to talk to each other. There's a gatekeeper that is keeping it all in because there's some insecurities there.
Mhm.
Like we've seen it. Like
Yeah.
that's what we're dealing with right now, to a point where I think there needs to be more emotional, um, uh, uh, almost like charge from the tech companies.
Mm.
When you've seen this when
Yep.
someone's working with Rain Focus, they are truly in love with their account management team,
Mhm.
or they're truly in love with Rodney, and they're like, "I'm not going to do another event without Rodney."
Mhm.
And so what's not working is leaning hard on emotional and persuasive marketing or the emotional aspect of it. And it's all like code
Yeah.
or capabilities or features. That is awesome, but it's not it. That's
Yeah.
not what it's about. And if you look at like a lot of the websites, if you look at all the RFPs and so forth, there's no emotion. Like, how are you going to feel when you do work with me?
Mm.
To a point where, so what is working? What's working right now is there is a speed to market that is different than what it used to be, which is great. But it also means that tech companies need to be in a learning mode, not in a teaching mode. And the onboarding and the hand holding has to be almost 200% than it was.
Mhm.
And so we're at an opportunity here where the technology has to be, I want to say invisible, but not really, but it's in the sense of you need to think of it more of an experience, a journey that is not only about the platform, not only about the bells and whistles that work or not. It is a relationship.
Mhm.
When we say vendor, that term should be deleted. When we say that, a tech provider, no. It's a relationship. You end up being in this relationship. The feedback loop has to be open almost 24/7 right now, and has to be taken in consideration because, like, you have vibe coding going on. this is what, like, we're in at the moment, where it's like, well, Rodney wants Riverside to, make him coffee while having recordings happen.
Mhm.
They need to listen, and they're gonna be able to do it.
Mhm.
So that swiftness, that agility is going to have to be part of the tech, the
Mhm.
platform, the service. Not sure if I answered your question, but,
Yeah.
like, it's we're at a speed right now and at a want that there are some tech companies, they're going to deliver it, and then there are gonna be other companies where they're gonna say, "Oh, wait, that's gonna hit the roadmap in Q4." Well, you don't have time for that.
Right. And so from your perspective, is it needing to deliver faster on features or really maybe being a better listener in general? And
That
instead of, like, because I think so often, again, in my role before I was here at Rain Focus, it was often translating business needs to how we're utilizing the platform. And obviously I
That's why
relied
I'm
on it.
calling you a mixologist,
I
because you're
like it.
also a translator,
Yeah.
but you're like
Mhm.
a li you're a bartender at the
Mhm.
at the at the tech bar, if you
Right.
will,
Right.
and you're listening in and translating it to all the different teams that are internal.
Right.
We need more of that. Even more so, we need that as a team within the organization itself. So event technologist used to be a title at some of the organizations. I remember,
Yeah.
Megan Tennell and her team at American Equipment Manufacturing. She had the first technologist. But what I'm saying is now that in itself potentially can be the hub or the nucleus of business intelligence, event intelligence, tech intelligence all in one. And then it's the hub for all the other departments because it's a business strategy. That's what
Yeah.
you're doing in the end. Everything that you do with events, everything that supports that is part of business strategy. And that's another thing that people need to step up to, if that makes sense.
Yeah, and I think everyone who's listening to this, because now I'm gonna try and translate this back to another question I've got for
There
you.
you go.
The expert here, so you, tell us a little bit about, so this is, I'm assuming, the type of advice and feedback you'd give to clients who are working with your agency. Tell us a little bit about the journey to starting Dahlia+Agency and what you focus on, um, just because I feel like you already started to hit on like the value someone would have having that conversation with you. And maybe you're also almost serving as that role that you're saying, hey, as a tech platform, this is maybe some of the ways you should be thinking about it. And maybe you're kind of helping to fill that need. But tell us a little bit about how Dahlia Plus got started and what
Sure.
you work on.
So, first and foremost, I'm not an expert. I'm
Hmm.
not an expert, I'm not a guru, I'm not a maven, none of those. I could
No.
be the queen
Yeah, I will
of
give you the, I mean,
certain
Queen for sure.
hardware because
What
I do
about Ringmaster?
ringmaster, all
Yeah.
like, I have hats that say supervisor of the show that
Yeah.
everybody loves, and they're like, "I want that."
Yeah.
But the whole idea of expert and so forth, that cannot be the case because it is
Mm,
changing very, very, very quickly. The way Dahlia Plus Agency started was I was blessed and grateful for the leadership at like On Peak and Pasky when they realized what I wanted to do was serve and mind the gap between organizers and tech and services companies that were not able to translate what the buyers needed and vice
mm,
versa. And so I wanted to sit in the middle and help do that. So Dahlia Plus Agency is, a group of misfits basically that are able to translate whether it's needs, whether it's visions, whether it's on both sides. So for the tech companies, you're absolutely right. A lot of them don't know how to tell their story and the story that's going to impact their clients or their prospects. And so we help with that. We want to differentiate, you know, that they don't belong in one bucket of all in one, which is bullshit, by the way.
mm,
And they also need to be able to serve from an emotional aspect. On the buyer side, on the organization side, a lot of times when we come in to help organizers either with a brand new reset on an event or a playbook, or the tech that's like, oh, our registration and our mobile app don't work. There's two stories there. It's not all about the tech. Usually there's a talent and there's a training issue that happens, right?
Mhm.
Um, or there's a gatekeeper that is
Yeah.
afraid and has used the same app or the same platform for many, many years and is just afraid to let go because they're afraid of their position, of not knowing a new platform. So that's why we say it's supercharged. We use a lot of intuition when we do projects with either or. There's always a hidden story. That's why
Yeah.
psychology is included here. You have to read what is going on. Like, you need to step back and say, "Oh, it's not only the registration. It could be the flows. It could be the processes. It could be you've grown up. You've outgrown your tech stack. That's
Yeah.
a beautiful thing. Don't take it as a bad thing, right? So, we tend to want to just help and empower event professionals to just think different and really, like, tune in on what is going to serve their primary stakeholders, whether an internal team or whether brand new audience in their events, or maybe it's scrapping their event and doing something totally different.
And so I was on an events team, a corporate events team for about 10 years before I joined Rain Focus. And I know very well things that, I tried to be flexible myself, but, very well organizational kind of things that we were stuck with or like we couldn't get
It's
ourselves out
things,
of,
right?
yeah.
It's
And I'm
belief,
curious.
actually. It's
Yeah.
internal beliefs.
Yeah. And I'm curious, do you have like, in those conversations, as you're saying, hey, whether it's a change to the playbook, because we'll start talking about some playbook items here, but do you have a certain way for success, or does it require you kind of going in and figuring out, hey, who's the key stakeholder? Maybe who's the, I don't want to say laggard, but maybe who's the one that's
We call them gatekeepers, but you know
gatekeeper?
what
I
I'm
like that. Yeah, sorry, yeah, gatekeeper. That's the right word. That that you come across is that part of your process? Is just starting to understand maybe what's the voice in here that's keeping this the way that it is.
So usually there's different missions that are being, like, told to us. "Oh,
Mhm.
we wanna change registration or event management,"
Mm.
or "The mobile
Yeah.
app sucked, we wanna get rid of it." Then we try to dig deep. What we do also do is we look at all the personas. All the personas in a room, either someone in the C-suite is saying something different or heard something different, or like shiny object syndrome,
Mhm.
where it's like, "Oh my god, I heard of, like, this thing that makes you coffee in the morning, and it's an app.
Yeah.
Let's go after that."
Right.
And it doesn't make sense, but what always happens is there's no transparency or not enough between all the personalities. Some of the personalities that bring us in, they just needs a team to help them validate why they need to shift or shivot, I call it, because I don't like the P
Shiv it.
word.
Yeah, I like it.
We're not doing the P word.
We're
Um,
done. Is that a pandemic?
it's
We're done with
no,
it. We're
you
gone.
can't do P words, you can't do H hybrid, you can't talk about like that. Those are bad words. Those are my pet peeves. I have a list. But what I'm saying is you need to take a look at it from, um, what are the dynamics between the team members? This is why, and you've seen this, you get on a demo, it's on a Zoom call. Maybe Rain Focus or, like, whoever the company is, maybe has 4, 6 people, and then you have maybe 10 or 11 people on the other side, and, hmm, usually what happens, the majority of them have their camera off,
Mhm.
and they're muted,
Mhm.
and they're just listening in, but they're either playing with their dog, playing Candy Crush, or checking email, right?
Yeah.
So that whole, dynamic cannot happen if it's a workshop and it's done together in one room, for
Yeah.
example, which is most of the time what we do for workshops.
Yeah.
But it also you need to, like you said, listen more,
Mhm.
but also read the body language. You might see that Amy, for example, doesn't like what Bob says. So what happens there?
Right.
Is a huge I mean, it's telling for whatever technology or however you're presenting. You might as well shut down the presentation and just listen to what's going on. That's the therapy part.
Yeah.
And I know a lot of tech companies think I'm very woo-woo, and the team, thinks that as well, and that's why I wear evil eyes but, like, honestly, when you come in and are able to diffuse that bomb between an Amy and a Bob and a
Mhm,
Rodney,
mhm,
everything goes in a better direction after that. The whole idea of it's not even consulting anymore.
right.
It is tech therapy.
And I think it's so powerful that you say it. So one, I would totally second, and I'm not just super agreeable. I would totally second that because again, I've done demos with people that I work with, and we don't have the same end goal, right? So like as a tech company, the idea of like, well, we're presenting and we're trying to convince these two people equally might not be the case, right? Like there is a lot of listening that should be happening because there's one thing to talk about your solutions, but there's another thing to figure out, well, what exactly is the problem that you're looking to solve? What's not working for you that's resulted in this conversation? Or maybe what's potentially could be working better? And also between the stakeholders who we're talking to, are you both aligned? Is
Right.
there a way that because you might need to be selling two different messages to both of those people to
And
really end up in a place that,
absolutely. And
yeah,
the thing about it, you have, when you look at the technology or services or, um, oh, this is what you should do different or this is what you should do more of. What we've realized when we do like the coaching and advising is when you pile up, "Well, you need to do data and now analytics, you're not doing enough. Or like, oh
yeah,
my God, you need another layer of AI. Oh
yeah.
my God, you need another, I don't know what.
Mhm.
You're literally, um, not only scaring the out of them, you're already blocked the relationship.
Yeah.
You're making it to a point where they're like, "I'm never gonna win. I will never get out from under this. I'm already drowning. You don't
Yeah.
understand that I can't get, coffee except at, like, $250 a gallon at my next show." Like, this is where their head
Yeah.
is at, and then you're compiling it with, like, you know, tech that they don't even understand.
Right. Right. Yeah, or you're selling them a message around, "Hey, this is what you could or should be doing, but it's not where they're at," and
No,
therefore it feels like like you're not helping, you're hurting. Like, "Oh, if I work with you, there's more problems, my checklist just got longer," right?
absolutely.
Um, so I love this, the therapy. I wanna ask another question because this, I
Mhm.
know in one of our chats beforehand, is a concept that the second you said this phrase, decision calories,
Oh, yeah.
it spoke to me because I think intuitively we all know it. If you were to say that out loud, maybe there'd be some, maybe they'd start to think I was woo woo. If I say, hey,
I
decision
don't
calorie,
even need to be
we
woo-woo. There's a
yeah.
club for us.
All
There
right.
really is
Hey,
a club.
you can sign me up because decision
There's
calories.
raids and everything.
I want to know. Talk a little bit about this phrase decision calories. I know it might not have
Mm,
been originated by you, but
yeah.
how you think about it and your event playbooks.
Right. So this is a phrase and a concept borrowed by the amazing Scott Galloway, which I am a big fan of.
Yeah, same.
Basically, if you think of it, and you've been at these type of events, you've been at these type of experiences where you have to decide and you sort of allocate how many calories you're going to give to different components of an event. So I was just at an event recently, a couple of weeks ago. Guess how many concurrents they had? I'm talking back to back with maybe like really bad coffee in between, but like,
Yeah.
yes,
Jeez. Let's go with 6.
12.
Just
So think of it from an attendee perspective. To a point where like you allocate, it's almost like a daily calorie intake, number, and if you think of it this way, you as an event or experience designer, it'd be kind of cool if you're putting a program together or if you're putting different like initiatives together for different attendee types, first-time attendee who are already overwhelmed when they go into a show, you know, don't offer them the 12 concurrents and the hosted buyer, and you need to do all these receptions and. So, like, you have to take a look at it and maybe on your grid, put together some sort of calorie intake, decision calories. They will thank you if they don't have to have so many options to decide on. They will be very, very selective. And I would say even more so going forward on, you can also think of it as attention calories. Who and how and what are they giving the attention to? And how many calories are they spending? And so you can't go over the daily intake. They will feel bloated. They will feel yucky. They might actually fast the next day, no pun
Yeah.
intended, and
Yeah.
not
Yeah.
come.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so it's a big deal. Like, we tend to just think, "Oh my god, I'm going to give them 2,000 sessions. I'm gonna give them 250 speakers." This is every single homepage on
Yeah.
any event website.
Yeah.
I'm giving you 15,000 people. It's a whole moment. That means I'm going to have to spend all this energy, all my social media, like, battery is going to be gone by the time it's lunchtime, and you will not see my face. And you won't give me virtual? I'm not coming back next year. Thank you very much. It was a pleasure.
Yeah. And when you have that conversation, like, would you say from a playbook standpoint, so if you have if you had that conversation with a client and you
Yes.
said, "Hey, this is a problem and you need to solve it," do you think, and I'm thinking in myself here, like, do you think that the hesitation is more my internal stakeholders won't handle this well because I have 2,000 sessions because I have to have 2,000 sessions, or is it more the fear of it's going to look like we're doing less, that we're giving them less value? Like, I'm curious, which one do you anticipate? Maybe it depends on the client, but, like, what's the fear of changing that playbook, you think?
It depends on the client, but the fear is, "Oh, we've always done it this way."
Mm.
The fear is, if we don't have enough, then they will not come.
Hmm.
But here's the beauty of this is you can take a look at all your potential, like your buffet, for example, and try to promote it where it's different types of meals for different types of appetite
Hmm.
at
Yeah.
different times. You never eat all your calories. Well, I you never you never
I knew
know.
where you were going.
If your
I knew where you were
portions
going
a
with
lot.
that. I do my best not to, but sometimes I eat 90% of them in a meal I shouldn't have had.
Well, like, I mean, but here's the other thing is, a lot of people, this is where you need to give them more direction. So the decision calories works twofold, because if you had like a facilitator of some kind that says, "Rodney," this is where the personalization of the journeys are in the experience. "Rodney, you're going into this event. This is your maximum. This is your capacity. I want you to be able to go to these 3 or 4 sessions, because those are gonna be amazing for you for day 1. Maybe this is where we take a look at design. Do you repeat some of them? Because what's like, honest to God, what is the use of having 12 concurrents, and then they're not recorded, and then they're effing gone,
Hmm.
and then you're left with a speaker has like 10 or 15 people in a room instead of a full room?
Hmm.
What, like, why?
Yeah.
Why would you do that? And so, like, then it doesn't leave any room for, like, the top reasons people want to be together, which
Right.
is the networking. I wanna be at the bar with Richard and Rodney
Hmm.
and Adam Perry, maybe.
Yeah.
Like, it
Maybe.
depends. He has to earn that, you
Yeah.
know? So, and then the other part is, like, you need to give space, mental space, for everything that's been consumed,
Yeah.
or else it's an overload, and people cannot take that. So, like, this is where I say the personal journeys is still a thing, but it's not designed 100% so far. I haven't seen any events really play with that. But our consultations and our advice when we come into a show and someone says, "Here's our, program." It's from, I kid you not, 6:30 till 5
Mhm.
for 4 days, and we're
Yeah.
like, "Okay, you just effed yourself up right now. Have
Yeah.
at that,
Mhm.
and you won't
Mhm.
see them again."
Yeah. Y and you know what I think is so important to be said, because as an attendee, as an event organizer, it's like my brain, I can see both sides of this coin so easily. But as an attendee or as an event organizer, I think the idea is always like, well, more can't be less.
Mhm.
And I think what you're saying, and maybe what I would encourage anybody who's listening to this to consider, is that it can more can be less, because just because you might say, well, they don't have to go to, they can pick and choose what they want to go to. I think we feel intuitively as humans like, well, I'm now foregoing stuff that I feel like I should be going to, but I can't physically do that many sessions, or even trying to. I'm going to collapse by the end of this conference, and now I feel negative, right? Because the lack of respecting these decision calories is saying, like, you're gonna feel like you missed out on so much stuff that we had offered, but really we designed too much. We didn't do a good enough
You
job curating it.
overdesign,
Mhm,
you overpromise, and I'm not talking about you,
mhm,
because you guys did a great job at Insight putting, like, networking time aside for people to,
mhm.
like, connect, etcetera. But what I'm saying is and then you have to do it in different ways. So, like, I was talking to someone yesterday, and she's like, "Oh, instead of the puppy corner," which everybody wants a puppy
Yeah,
corner.
I
She's
know.
like,
I'd like one too, actually. It's on my
"But
list.
get this," she said, "Oh, I just went to an event, and instead of the puppy corner, they took about 15 of us, and we went and did a walk with puppies from a local shelter, and we had a chat about a certain topic." I'm like, "Brilliant.
Yeah, yeah,
You can stick Otter
yeah,
on and
yeah,
record the damn thing
yeah,
and then use it."
right, yeah,
So, who said that as event organizers, we're not creative?
mhm.
Like, who the hell put limits on us? I don't understand. I wanna see who that person is, 'cause I have words.
Yeah. And and I mean, that's where what I find always interesting is when required. I think we go to playbooks, but when required, or when I think sometimes some of us who love this industry having a problem to solve with 2 or 3 weeks left to go, I feel like oftentimes is where we shine the most, because it's just like, well, the playbook is gone. Like the idea of like, well, you should have been doing this 8, 10 weeks out, and now you're like, you're outside of that box, and you're asking for favors. You're thinking about
And
what can you.
here's what's gonna happen, and you've seen the booking patterns of registration.
Mhm,
You've seen how people make their, decisions on, "Oh, I'm gonna go because Nicola and Adam and Liz are going to be at Insi I'm gonna get myself
yeah,
there," kinda
right.
thing.
Yeah,
This is where I say, event profs, you still need to trust your gut, trust your intuition, and trust the process, because your best ideas are your last ideas, or they're on site. And if
yeah,
you don't do shit like that, you're not gonna be serving what your purpose is, basically. This is where the playbook, yes, is in flux at the moment. Like,
yeah,
and I know that you and we've discussed the playbook before. The playbook as it stands needs to be shredded, ripped apart, and just thrown somewhere. And to be honest, I hear it so many times when the most successful events, when they do a refresh or a reset, they actually bring someone in that has no, like, ownership of the event.
mhm, yeah,
Is just asking questions. So why are you doing it this way? Why are you getting hosted buyers up at 6:30 in the morning? What the hell is that about? Like,
yeah,
who told you that they wanted that? Like,
yeah,
stuff like that. Then what you do is you have this surge of, granted, data. We can talk about data because I know that's your
Yeah.
thing. But what I'm saying is when you're designing, the playbook needs to change. It has to be relevant. It can't be tone deaf, and it has to be encompassing of the kind of people that you are having within the event. Does that make sense?
Right. Yeah. No, it does. And and it's like you said, if it's just like, well, I know this is a format that people do, therefore I feel safe in rolling it out, doesn't mean that it's the right format, or doesn't mean that anybody was consulted, or maybe the one event that has worked making that format work, they're not also trying to do 17 other things that you've also added in there, like that we're taking things that might be successful on their own and sandwiching them all together doesn't mean that you're going to make
Absolutely.
this working thing. I'm looking at the time and I've got like so many other questions I want to ask you. So I'm going to fire off a couple. I'm going to lay them out for you.
Okay.
Um so Playbook
Mm,
needs to be ripped up and shredded.
yes.
I'm gonna put some pressure on you right now. You you've ripped up and shredded. What would be the first thing you'd rip up and shred? Doesn't you don't have to single out a particular event, but rip up and shred one thing.
The program of, like, panels, the program of breakout sessions, you, give room for, I call it vibe eventing. So, like, you have vibe coding, which AI has started where you can actually go on, different websites or even a
Mhm.
ChatGPT and code whatever with a prompt. But,
Yeah.
like, so this is where in the playbook, leave vibe eventing. If the attendees want an ad hoc session out of the blue about LinkedIn or what the zone because
Yeah.
everything around them is loud and there's a lot of noise and they want a space where they can just no filter. They just want to be together. Create those moments for them because what you're doing is you're amping up their energy and their vibe within your event. So when you put the playbook together, it is about
Mhm.
connections, content, about community, it's about like the conversations, all the C's in the world.
Yeah.
But when you put that together, think of what type of energy corners you're putting in and how is it going to be co-created. Your speakers, your facilitators, they need to come in with a specific momentum.
Mhm.
If your playbook is not tracking the energy and the momentum and the joy that you are bringing from an event or an experience within the event to your stakeholders,
Mhm.
especially your first timers, because you can lose them very quickly,
Mhm.
then don't have the event. Cancel it. It's not worth anybody's money. It's not worth your time, your attention, nothing of the sort. You need to amp them up.
And what's one way, or what's your favorite way of tracking that? Like that tracking that energy?
So tracking the energy is usually a fail is when people try to do evaluations at the end of a breakout session or at the end of an event. No, you need real time. You can build a chat bot right now, and I'm here with you, and that chat bot's asking, "Hey Rodney, was Dahlia a great speaker or like a great guest, or would you have her again? What would you want her to speak on?" And so this is perfect timing. This is why in the virtual world, your chat,
Mhm.
if you light that up on fire, and if you have cheerleaders that are also like surveyors at the same time,
Mhm.
I would be able to ask, should I have Rodney back? Should we have like a no filter, like no BS, no vanilla type of session on data?
Yeah.
And it would be either hell yes or no, like,
Yeah.
no. So
Yeah.
the evaluation has to be real time, and it's easy to do that right now. The other thing is I wouldn't be tone deaf. If you know for a fact that your audience is hurting or, are in a world where they don't understand what's happening and they just need to talk it out, have a what the zone. Like,
Yeah.
I'm not kidding.
And tell me, what does that zone look like? Because that was actually my
Oh,
next question. I've got one
it's
more after this. Like,
It's
what does
got
that zone look like?
mocktails, it could have a couple of hookahs, like the shishas, and
Yeah.
really chill music, and they all speak together, cry on each other's shoulders, etcetera, have that, and the other zone that I would truly have is, how can I You're probably gonna have to take this one out, but, I'm in a I'm in a zone myself where I want to help, especially the young professionals, how to think that they're unwithable,
Mhm,
that they stand their ground, they have a voice, they know their worth, and nobody can with them.
mhm,
And this is a thing, it's a state of mind.
yeah,
Your events is a cause and in the sense of people come in and they need to leave thinking that they're bigger, stronger, and better.
yeah, yeah,
So that zone is all about, like, my brand is this.
mhm,
I am known for this. Like,
mhm,
it's almost like stakes in the ground.
yeah,
The other zone that I would really, really, really need to see everywhere is about vibe, marketing and vibe coding because it's going so fast. They need to see the power that they can have bringing ideas from a cocktail napkin into an app, into a tech, into something.
mhm,
It actually empowers you,
yeah.
and that's
See,
what we're all about. We're about
and
empowering people.
And so in your mind, that zone is one where I'm coming with maybe something on a cocktail napkin, or I've got like, hey, this is a problem I've been looking to solve, and I need to come somewhere that I can talk through, prompt my way through this almost. And whether that's, an expert on, in our case, a product, product experts thinking through the platform itself, or it's just more of a, hey, an open place where you're having this conversation about, hey, this challenge is solvable, but I want, I want some people around me so that I can talk through this challenge and maybe
You get
come
your
up with ideas.
validation, you create,
Yeah.
you get your validation. Rodney, this is not only about, work or professional.
Mm,
This is also personal. So,
yeah.
like, if say, for example, I just, looked at prompts yesterday. Say, for example, you want to, decrease your debt, or you wanna look at, like, your shopping, how to, like, reduce it by I don't know what, but, like, still shop and eat the best in the world. Yeah, you can use ChatGPT for that. That's
Yeah.
a brilliant move, like, for a
Yeah.
mom who's juggling or is at an event, at a conference, and is worried about the fridge back home.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, and I mean, I made me wanna tell you that, that I've tracked all of my spending for about 15 years, so that's the type of data nerd that I am, but I will say I've used ChatGPT for things like that as well, and so I think what you're hitting on there is from an event perspective, there is both the, like, what we're doing from an organizational standpoint or having people walk away learning more about us, the brand putting on the event, but the reality is that for an event to be successful, people can learn about their peers, they can learn about themselves, that they can walk away feeling if you have an experience that they walk away feeling empowered or emboldened or, having learned something even about themselves, that is a way of showing value back to an attendee who
Wouldn't you would go to a show like that instead of me
absolutely,
telling you, "Oh, it's 200 speakers." But if I told
absolutely.
you you're gonna come in, you're gonna feel empowered and you're gonna, like, amazing,
Yeah.
it you'll want to come and bring your friends.
Yeah, right. Um, I've got one last question. I know we're coming up on time, but it's okay. It's been a great conversation, so I'm having fun. Um, One of the other KPIs that you mentioned, this kind of follows, I think, some of the measurement, and you're saying some of the real time measurement, but you've mentioned a KPI,
Mm,
ELU.
yes.
Talk to us a little bit about what ELU means, and what are some moments that you're telling me as an event organizer. How do I get, what am I overlooking that maybe would bring more of this ELU KPI to my event?
So So ELU is also another borrowed concept, and
Okay.
she knows how
Yeah.
amazing she is. This is Wes Cow, who is the co-founder of Maven.com, an online academy, as well as she did Alt MBA certification with Seth Godin, which I went through, and I almost died in
Yeah.
4 weeks, but I did
Yeah.
it. And so ELU stands for Eyes Light Up. And I do have another KPI because it's not a vanilla KPI. Your ROE, your ROO, blah, 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 blah. Those are the vanilla ones. These are the rocky road ones because they're emotionally charged. So, like, like Tahira's new book is about joy as a KPI. And if you haven't read it, you need to get it. But like, if you look at ELU, what are you doing in order to have your stakeholders or event participants' eyes light up? And if you really think of it this way, you will reevaluate everything from an energy perspective,
Mm,
as well as, are you empowering them? Are you going to make them spark up? Is it going to be like a Spotify playlist that they will have on repeat? That's the kind of events that everybody wants. That's the kind of energy that the speakers should be bringing. And another KPI is, I call it AMP, which is awareness, momentum, and possibility or potential. So it goes with the fact of taking a look, and if people are into grids, have at it. I'm not a grid kind of person, but like, you're taking a look at the different sessions. Are you sending your attendees out of a session room thinking that they have more potential than when they checked in for your event? Will they come back? Or even if you offer them something like micro events and micro dosing of content from one annual to another, are they going to come in and bring their friends with them? And so, from an energy perspective, I don't know how the hell you can do it from,
yeah.
other than facial recognition and, happiness, blah, 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 all of that. But it's what needs to be taken into consideration going
Mhm.
forward, especially with the younger crowd coming in. You have to give them a bigger cause of spending time with you and attention and energy than you have done before. You can't just say, "Oh, you need to be here because 18,000 people are here."
Yeah. Yeah. That's not enough. And it's it is remarkable what happens when, as an event organizer, you start thinking about those moments. You
Yeah.
start thinking about the check-in or the morning or the bright, like, what is something that you can greet someone with, and it can be small moments. I remember this is a side story, but I remember after the conclusion of one of the conferences that we did at the Hyatt 2 years ago, in my hotel room was not fancy whiskey or a fancy bottle of wine. It was a box of Taco Bell tacos. And which is like me, like for me, and it's one of those things when you look at it, like that stuck with me forever. I keep, like, the note that I had with that. And it's just a moment that, like, someone could have spent $1,000. They might have spent 20. I don't know. I don't know what a box of tacos costs, but it was more about
4.99 actually.
yeah, right. It was more about, like,
The thought.
the thought and the fact that somebody had remembered, and it took me, like, how did you know? Like, it was one of those, like, how did you know? And so it's providing, I think those moments do absolutely matter in terms of what people take away from that
So
that human
so
experience.
and, like, just piggybacking on the story real quick, when I say, "Oh, if you want me to come to an event, all you have to do is give me Smart Food white cheddar popcorn,"
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
amount of white cheddar popcorn I get, it makes me happy. So that's
Yeah.
one.
Yeah.
Second is, you have to bank on those moments. Those moments, we're in the emotional and empowerment, business.
Yeah.
I mean, that's it, period.
Mhm.
That's what we do. No matter what you say, "Oh, we educate and we do this and stuff." No, that's the fluff about it. There will come a time when your event websites are going to be powered by those mini stories. The Taco Bell Rodney story should be on the homepage.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah.
Nothing
I
else.
like it. Yeah. Um, I love it. Dahlia, we could keep going, and
Uh-huh.
I'm gonna start transitioning us into our
Lightning round.
closing question here,
Okay.
uh, which is, and I'm hoping that you take it in a direction you mentioned about kind of those WTF zones, and but also the way that you position that to some younger to people that are younger in the industry. Um, this question we ask all of our guests: the event industry, it's not the easiest business that we could be in. I think personally, I think those who stick around, I think we find it rewarding, but it's not because it's not stressful or not crazy at times. I'd love to know, what's your favorite piece of advice to give, and whether it's advice you've heard before and you like to say it, or it's just something that you've come across. What's something that you like to tell people who are aspiring to be in this industry or new to this industry?
If you are new or wanna be in this industry, you truly have to trust your own process and your
Mm,
gut.
mm,
If you're in it, even if you're a founder or you have a company or you are an event strategist or marketer or like, even an intern or a coordinator, this industry is begging for your expertise, but that you stand your ground. And this is why, I am a huge believer of you can't go around just thinking of all the rules that have been around forever. You need to break them. And the whole idea of have the mental state of being unfuckwithable is actually a thing. It
yeah.
keeps you grounded, but it also keeps you confident in what you can bring to the industry. Those that do the best are those that know exactly what their worth is, and they don't listen to all the rules that are out there. And if you have bullshit rules happening in your company, leave.
Mm,
Leave and you will find your own, like, niche. Make your own job description. You don't have to even look at, like, what's out there. Bring it to the company that you wanna work with, but you have to stand your ground. Don't leave the industry.
yeah. Dahlia, amazing, amazing advice. This has been an amazing conversation, from camel races to to the idea igniter here, and tech evangelists at Dahlia+Agency. I think there's so much for people to take away. But what I love so much throughout this whole conversation is it's true. It's from the heart. It's very candid, and
Very true, and I'm here to, like, help anybody else out, like, with anything, so I'm open to that.
all right. So we will. You can find her on LinkedIn. Anywhere else that people should find you?
Dahlia at dahliaplus.com, 617-470-2655.
Love it. First time I think we had a phone number on this program too. Uh, Dahlia, I got one last section. We're bumping time, but I don't really care if they're still watching. They're still watching. Are you ready for a lightning round? This is
Yeah.
something that we like to do. Have a little bit of fun. And the hardest part is I am not supposed to react to your answer, but
Ooh, okay.
sometimes I do. Usually I
Alright.
do, but it's okay. All right. Are you ready?
Yes.
Okay. First question. Who is your dream guest keynote speaker?
Ooh, for the longest time, it was Simon Sinek and Sally Hogshead, but right now it's Pedro Pascal.
Oh, that'd be a good one. What is one book everyone should read?
Um, One book that everybody should read, it's called The Extraordinary, and I should know this. Ordinary Vision. It's by Vishen Lakhani, which is the owner of Mind Valley. Extraordinary Mind.
Amazing.
The
I'm gonna put
Extraordinary. Yeah, The Code of the Extraordinary Mind. And he
got it.
does talk about being unquotable.
Love it. I'm gonna put that on my list. The best airline is
JetBlue for me.
Okay. Window seat or aisle seat,
Window.
networking session or educational workshop.
Oh, definitely networking.
I knew that. You have a concert to close your event. Who is your dream musical artist?
That's not fair. It'd be like Live Aid, and then it's a bunch of people, so, like,
Listen, you're allowed. Creative answers are allowed. You win. I'm gonna let you do that. Live.
it
You're
would
gonna see
be
the whole lineup.
it would be like Tomorrowland, and then I can have, like, the Tiesto and the Zed and the Rufus Du Sol. I mean, all of them, like, boom, 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 all day, all night.
Real rave. Love it. If you could host an event anywhere in the world, where would it be?
Egypt.
Egypt. You see, look at we're stacking. I'm creating an event here. You don't know this, but I'm going to put all these together. You're going to see this event that I'm marketing, and it's going to be all of your
It's a
ideas.
rave
So,
at the pyramids and the Sphinx at night.
and there will be a camel race as well.
Oh, yeah.
Um, what is your go-to comfort food during event planning stress?
smart food, white cheddar popcorn.
Like
And
it.
yours is probably Taco Bell, so there you
Yeah,
go.
exactly. What is your current favorite mobile app?
My favorite what?
Current favorite mobile app?
Mobile app. Um, ooh, that's a good one. It's actually called The Pattern,
Okay.
and it is based on birth location, birth date, birth time, and it gives you how the planet's energy has worked since your birth and how it helps you with work and emotions and everything right now, and it's very spot on.
All right. Hey, listen, more advice, more advice. And the final question,
Oh,
closing event party. We already said who's going to be there, live music or DJ.
oh, DJ.
There it is,
Me.
DJ. Wait, yeah, you. You're going to do it. You're
Yeah,
closing it out.
I'm
Yeah.
closing it out.
Hey, I'd have you close it out. No, any day of the week. Speaking of closing it out, that's going to be the end of this episode. Dahlia, thank you so much for joining.
Well, thank you. This was awesome.
Free audio post-production by alphonic.com.